How cute are these little glasses? I bought these glasses yesterday from Primark and I'm absolutely obsessed with them. Hi guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video I'm going to talk to you all about my feeding tube and how to set up a feed, how to use the pump and the equipment you get given and the things I've actually bought to make my little routine a little bit easier. This is just my little advice on how to set up a feed. If you are someone who has a feeding tube, or you are someone who's getting a feeding tube, or you're someone who cares for someone with a feeding tube, I really hope you find some comfort in today's video because I'm going to be really realistic and show you exactly how to use all the pump and things. Because let me tell you, when you're first starting out with a feeding tube, it is really scary. So I really hope that in today's video you can learn something new and feel a lot more comfortable when it comes to your feeding tube. If you like today's video, then please make sure you give it a thumbs up, leave a little comment for me because I absolutely love hearing your feedback, and also make sure you go subscribe so you don't miss any other future videos. Leaving the hospital with a feeding tube, wow, you get given so much equipment because essentially the equipment you're using in the hospital is never going to be the same as the equipment you end up taking home. That was my case anyway. I was using a brand called Nutricia in hospital, and then when I'd come home I switched to a brand called Abbot. So everything I had just got used to in the hospital went right out the window because I got a brand new set of equipment, and it was like, okay, I need to learn how to use all of this. I was very lucky, and me and both my mum had training with a medical professional, but one session of training, you do forget things. So hopefully in this video I will be able to teach you a little something or two. So then, the things you get given when you leave the hospital, I kid you not, I was shocked. I was in shock when I saw the amount of equipment I was given when I got home. I was literally like, wow. So the first thing I was given was this stand. This is the Abbot Free Go stand, and it is quite nice. It comes in like a couple of two parts. This bit can come off as well, so if you're traveling with it, you know, it's going to be a lot easier to travel with other than if you have it obviously up like this. So the first thing you're going to have is a stand. That's what my stand looks like. Of course, you'll then have your pump. This is the Abbot Free Go pump. This pump is really easy to use, but let me tell you, when I first saw it, I looked at it like, what am I doing? But yeah, I will show you how to use this pump and what all the little dials mean. Then you'll have your feed. Now your feed will look different because there's lots of different types of feed, and it all just depends on what your needs are. This is the Abbot Longevity 1.5 high in fibre feed. I've had this feed from day one. This is the only feed I've ever really used, and it works really well for me. The next thing you'll have is a giving set. Now you need a fresh giving set for every time you open a new bottle of feed, or say for example you essentially have half a bottle of feed and then you leave it for maybe more than 24 hours. You'll have to discard of that other half of the bottle and the giving set because you can't reuse it after it's been open for 24 hours. So I get given 30 giving sets and 30 bottles of feed, so one per feed. And then of course you'll have your syringes. Now syringes are a big thing for me because I hardly get any syringes, so I use the 60ml syringe and also the 20ml syringe, and I only get given 16 of these, so I get 8 of the 20 and 8 of the 60 and 8 of the 20, and this is such a bit of a pain in the bum because I would have ideally liked to have more than 16 a month, considering I use about 10 syringes a day. So as you can imagine, these do get quite dirty and require to be cleaned a lot. So how I clean these is I just get like a bowl of boiling water. I take them apart like this. I chuck them in. I used to use Milton tablets, but then I was just finding that they were just becoming expensive, so I just literally now soak them in hot soapy water and it does the job. So this is the Free Go pump. This is what she looks like. So you have your little dial here, you have your up and down button, you have your prime button, a settings button, and then you have your door. This is also called the cassette, and then you put inside here the giving set here. You also have your little charger portal, a phone number on the top for any emergencies, like a helpline, and then you also have some settings and some information on the back. To turn this pump on, what you need to do is you need to move the dial to the first little setting. She is really loud, but I promise you'll get used to that noise a hell of a lot. You will get so used to it. So the first setting on this little dial then is set rate meal per hour. So what this essentially means is how many meals you're going to be having every single hour. So this will be your rate. So then what you'll do is use these buttons up the top to either increase or decrease. So I personally have my feed at 55 ml per hour. So I will use the up arrow and I will then turn it to 55. If you're someone who has anything less, obviously you can go down. And this literally starts from 0 and it goes up to 200, I think. No, it goes more than 200 ml. Okay, so this goes up all the way to, I think maybe 400 then. Yeah, so the max rate you can have it at is 400 ml an hour, which is absolutely crazy. I could never. But essentially what I do is I just have it at 55 ml an hour. Then will be set dose. So this is the total meal that you will receive from your feed. So I have mine at 1000 because I have 1000 mils of feed per day at 55 mils per hour. So I think that equivalates to 18 hours of being connected up to this pump, I think. Yeah, 18 hours a day I take to have 1000 ml. So this is your dosage. And again, you can increase this with using the arrows, and you can also decrease it using the down arrow. The next one along is run. Once you have everything ready to go, you will then press run and this will run. It is beeping at me to say there is no cassette. That means there's nothing inside here, and that's why it isn't actually running. The next one along is hold. So this is a hold button. So if you need to quickly go to the toilet, you need to run out on no side for a minute, or if you've got something to quickly do, you can actually put the pump on hold. So it's you can put it on hold for a minimum of 1 minute, all the way up until I think an hour. Let me see. Maximum you can hold this for is an hour and a half, which is actually a really long time, to be honest. So that is the hold, and that will basically just stop the feed for an hour and a half, and then luckily it doesn't just begin after the hour and a half. It will start beeping to alarm you, just to let you know your pump's no longer on hold. Please move it back to run. Then have a volume feed. So this is how much volume I have had already. So I've had 559 ml. So this is tallying up from the dosage. So when this figure here gets to 1000, which is my dose rate, this will essentially beep to say your dose is complete and the top pump will stop. And then right at the bottom then you have clear volume. So obviously if you do have you know, the 1000 ml up here and you need to restart a feed, what you do is you just press it down here, and then this is now clearing, and that now defaults back to 0, so then you can restart your dose again. So that is everything on how to use this little dial and how to do that. So you then have this little teardrop button. This button here is to prime the pump. We'll do that together in a moment when we set the feed up. Also have this settings button. So on here you have audio level. I have mine on low. Audio level means essentially that beeping noise. So you can change it using these buttons. So you can have it high, which that's what it sounds like, or low. High, low, high, low. I have mine on low because that's what I like. You then have the brightness level, so you have high, medium and low, and that's just the brightness of the screen. I always have mine on high because although in the dark it is actually very bright, but I just prefer it to be on high. So then you have your light. So your light will go, is basically how many seconds you want the light to last on for. So you can have it always on, so this screen here will always be lit up. or you can have it on 10 seconds. So after 10 seconds it will go dim. I have mine on 10 seconds because I feed during the night. I don't want a bright light on the screen all the time. That is a little settings button for you, so that's all there and done. To turn the pump off then, all you do is you just turn it back and it says pump shut down and then it goes off. That's a little brief summary on how to use the pump. I hope that clears up any questions you might have had or any queries you might have had or things like that. So that's how to use our little pump. Set up a feed. What you need to do, I'm gonna get everything out and I'm gonna line it up here. I do have a Jedge tube, so I need an extension tube, but if you have a peg or you have a nasal tube, you might have to skip a couple of my steps out, but essentially this is how I set up my feed. I'm gonna first begin by attaching my pump to my stand. So on your pump, in that corner there, you can see there is a little screw. I'm just gonna connect it to the screw on here and then tighten it. You can see the stand is all ready. You have your hook up here to hang the feed, and then your pump is all connected up as well. Okay, so behind me here is everything that I'm going to need for my feed setup. So I'm going to quickly run through it with you. So we have our stand and our pump. We then have our giving set. We have some wipes. So we have a wipe for my stoma site and then 2 alcohol wipes just to give everything a bit of a clean. We have some syringes. So I have a 60ml syringe and a 20ml syringe. I have an extension tube. And then I also have a bottle of feed and also a bottle of sterile water. To begin, I'm going to start by giving my feed a shake. You always want to make sure you shake your feed. Don't worry about air because the pump gets rid of the air. That's one of its main features. I'm going to remove the cap, like so. And then I'm going to get my giving set. So in here is a tube. So you can open it. And it looks like this. So the first thing I like to do is to clamp the end. So if you just bend it and stick it into the little clamp, just because if this, like, you know, you don't want it like dangling and dragging all over the floor, because you want to be as like sterile as you can be. On this bottle of feed there is a seal. Don't touch the seal. Inside the giving set, I don't know how well you can see, there is a sharp, this bit here, there is a sharp what would you say, bit of plastic that sort of, as you twist, it cuts through, which is really handy. So as you can see, it's not open, and then when I put this giving set on, I make sure it's nice and tight. I'm gonna just take it off you so you can see it cuts through, so it opens it for you just to make sure that it is remained very sterile. So I'm just making sure this is tight, and then I always clip mine upside down and give it a bit of a squeeze just to make sure that it is on properly. What you want to do is hang using this little hole here. You want to hang it on top of your stand, like so. So it's hanging like that, and then this little bit here on the giving set, it's like a stretchy silicone material. You want to open up your cassette like this, and then you will see this section here. I'm going to bring this a bit closer so you can see. So in this cassette bit here, you want to put this on that. So you want to get it, and then you want to pull down. It's very stretchy, so you can pull quite hard, it won't break. So you want to pull down and push it in place, and then you will shut the door. And what you want to do to turn this pump on is just move the dial over, and then it will beep and it will turn on. So you'll have your mil per hour. So I'm going to move my mil per hour down because I only have 55 mil an hour. So I'm going to use the downwards arrow to, you know, set this rate. So 55 mil an hour. My dose then is going to be 1000. So I moved the dial over to dose, and that's at 1000. So now what I need to do is prime this line. So in this line right now, inside the giving set, there is loads of air. All of that clear stuff, there is air in there. So if you were to essentially connect this to you and feed, you're going to get all this air and it's just not going to be a good time for you. From the line then, you want to hold this, almost this little droplet button. So if you hold it and wait for the beep, and now the pump is spinning inside and this line is filling with feed from the bottle. So as you can see, it's just priming all the way, and we want it right to the very end. So to stop it priming, it will either stop on its own or you can press the button and it will stop when you press it. So now our line is all nice and filled. I'm just going to leave it like this just until we are ready to connect. Moved you down slightly, which is annoying because you can't see my head, but I just basically want to show you my tube. So this is what my tube looks like. This is a jejunal tube. So basically my feed goes into my intestines. So I'm going to first remove this dressing that I have had on overnight. I want to first give my tube a bit of a clean. I clean my tube with is these wound cleansing wipes that I get off Amazon. I absolutely love these because they're so soft and they're just soaked in safe saline salt water. So they really help to clean that tube. And I'm just going to get right in there. A alcohol wipe. I use the Chlo ones. I just always have done, and they work really well for me. So I open this up and I'm just going to give the tube a clean. So I'm going to clean the jej port and also the gastric port. So I'm just going to clean both of them. Make sure they're nice and sterile. So now my tube's all nice and clean, I'm gonna now prepare my extension set. So this is a brand new one, so what we do is we just open it, and this is what she looks like. So this is our little extendable tube that's gonna connect up to our button. As you can see, it is completely full with air and it needs to be essentially primed. Just like our given set, we need to also prime our extension set. I'm going to take my 60ml syringe and also my water, and I'm just going to prepare a flush. Now we call syringes with water in a flush because you're going to flush that tube through. So I tend to hold the bottom, so I literally put my finger over the hole so it doesn't start leaking out, and I'm going to pour in around 60ml of fluid. Then keeping my finger on the bottom of the syringe, I push this purple bit in, and then I can tip it upside down and let go. And then make sure you get that air out. And there's our little flush. Then going to get our extension set, and I'm gonna screw this onto the syringe. So it's a screw mechanism. So you literally push it and then twist, and now it's connected. And then I'm gonna just push some water in until it starts to drip out of the top, and that means that it's all nice and primed and all that air is completely out. I'm going to take another Chlo alcohol wipe, and I'm just gonna, you know, wipe this little section of the extension tube. You'll have a line on the extension tube, and you'll also have a faint line here on your button. So you want to line the lines up, and then if you line them up and then push in, it will push, and then you want to twist it the way the arrow goes. So my arrow is telling me to twist this way, and that's what I do. So I'm twisting it, and now that is completely connected. Give the end a quick clean. I'm going to give this a clean, and I'm going to just hydrate myself and give myself a quick flush. So I'm going to unclamp the tube, and I'm going to slowly start pushing this in. I always start my feed with a flush. 1, it hydrates, and 2, it also makes sure that there is nothing blocking. We are all done. So before I disconnect, I'm going to clamp the tube, because if I disconnect without clamping, it's all going to just pour back out. So clamping the tube down and then twisting the syringe off. I'm going to get my tube here, which is my given set, and I'm going to just take off the clamp, give this a bit of a wipe, and then I'm going to connect this together, and again it's just that twist mechanism like that. So now we're all connected. I'm going to unclamp and move this down, and we're all ready to press go on the pump. So then we're all completely ready to begin our feed. We're all connected up. I am now going to press run. So if you move it down to run, this is now going to run at 55 ml an hour. And as you can see, it's now going inside the extension set and it's feeding me. So then guys, that's how you set up a feed using the Abbot Free Go range. I have been on this for over 2.5 years, which is absolutely mental. I would probably say my top tips would to definitely invest in some wipes. These Chlo alcohol wipes are absolutely incredible and they just make sure your whole routine is a lot more sterile and clean. These wound cleansing wipes I also get from Amazon. They're incredible. They just make sure your stoma's nice and clean and they're just so soft, and it really has changed the game for me because I used to really suffer bad with irritation, redness, granulation, infections, and since using these wipes I have noticed such a difference and they're just so soft. Another thing I would definitely recommend you reach out for are these. These are little caps that twist onto your syringes. What I mean by that then is they literally twist on like this. So if you're doing a lot of medications or setting up a feed and you've got flushes, you can actually put these caps on to avoid any spillages. So guys, that is today's video complete. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you are having a feeding tube or your family member's got a feeding tube and you're starting to care for them, then I really hope you found today's video interesting and helpful. If you have any questions at all, then please be sure to leave them in the comments. I will get back to you as soon as I can. And if you have any video ideas for me, then again, leave them below. I hope to see you real soon in my next video, and yeah, take care. Bye.